How are you guys doing? Today is Wednesday, January 26th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review all of yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Tuesday, January 25th. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today, taking a quick step back and looking at where we are at this top of this 2022 calendar year. In the college basketball season, we are probably hitting about the middle point. We are probably hitting the back end of a lot of college basketball seasons while every team is still playing within their conference. In the NFL, we are awaiting the two conference championship matchups that are going to take place on Sunday, followed by the Pro Bowl. In the NBA, of course, the NBA is in the second half of the season as it prepares for the All-Star weekend. And in soccer, we are in the second half of most seasons in Europe. And in the African Cup of Nations, we went down from 12 to 10 teams that are competing for the title, as the round of 16's last day is today. With that all said, starting off with what went down in college basketball yesterday, starting off with the top-ranked team in the nation, the Auburn Tigers would face off against the unranked Missouri Tigers at Missouri. Auburn would beat Missouri in the Battle of the Tigers 55-54. They won this matchup by 1 after outscoring Mizzou by 1 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the top-ranked Auburn Tigers were led in scoring by their starting guard, KD Johnson. He finished with 17 points and 3 steals in 28 minutes. He shot 6 for 13 from the field and 4 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the top-ranked Auburn Tigers are 19-1. They are 8-0 in the SEC. They currently are the only team that is still undefeated. They have the best record in their conference so far. With this loss, the unranked Missouri Tigers are 8-11. They are now 2-5 in the SEC, tied with Ole Miss for the second worst record in the conference. Taking a look at what's going on with the third-ranked college basketball team in the nation, the Arizona Wildcats went to Los Angeles to face off against the seventh-ranked UCLA Bruins. UCLA would end up beating Arizona 75-59. They won this matchup by 16 after outscoring Arizona by 11 in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Arizona Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting guard, Benedict Mathurin, out of Montreal. He finished with 16 points and 10 rebounds, as well as 2 steals in 34 minutes. He shot 5 for 22 from the field and 3 for 6 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown 7th-ranked Bruins were led in scoring by their starting guard, Johnny Juzang, and their starting guard, Jules Bernard. Juzang finished with 15 points in 32 minutes. He shot 6 for 18 from the field and 3 for 5 from 3. Bernard finished with 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals in 32 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field. With this win, the 7th-ranked UCLA Bruins are now 14-2. They are now 6-1 in the Pac-12. They are now tied with Arizona for the best record in the conference now that they have one loss. With this loss, the third-ranked Arizona Wildcats, who are undefeated in the Pac-12 coming in, are now 16-12. They are 6-1 in the Pac-12, tied with the UCLA Bruins for the best record in the conference overall. Taking a look at what went down with the 4th-ranked team in the nation and the defending champs, the Baylor Bears hosted the unranked Kansas State Wildcats. Baylor would beat Kansas State 74-49. They won this matchup by 25 after outscoring Kansas State by 18 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 4th-ranked Baylor Bears were led in scoring by their starting guard, L.J. Cryer. He would finish with 14 points and 6 turnovers in 28 minutes. He shot 4 for 12 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the 4th-ranked Baylor Bears are now 18-2. They are now 6-2 in the Big 12. On the losing end of this matchup, the unranked Kansas State Wildcats are now 10-9. They are now 2-6 in the Big 12. That is the worst record in the conference so far. Looking at the 9th-ranked team in the nation, at my alma mater, the 9th-ranked Duke Blue Devils hosted the unranked Clemson Tigers. Coming into this matchup, Duke had won the last 19 matchups in Cameron. With this, they've won 20 straight, with this being Coach K's last home game against Clemson as the head coach. Duke won this matchup by 2 after outscoring Clemson by 2 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Blue Devils, the ninth-ranked team in the nation, were led in scoring by their super freshman Paolo Banchero. He finished with 19 points and 7 rebounds in 29 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and he made his only free throw attempt on the night. With this win, the ninth-ranked Duke Blue Devils are now 16-3. They are 6-2 in the ACC. They are tied with Miami and Florida State for the best record in the conference. With this loss, the unranked Clemson Tigers are now 11-9. They are 3-6 in the ACC. Taking a look at what's going on with the 10th-ranked team in the nation, the Michigan State Spartans will go to Champaign and face off against the 24th-ranked Illinois Fighting Illini. Illinois would end up beating Michigan State 56-55 in front of the home fans. They won this matchup by 1 after outscoring Michigan State by 14 in the first half. They were able to hold off Michigan State's comeback. On the losing end of this matchup, the 10th-ranked Spartans were led in scoring by their starting forward, Marcus Bingham Jr. Their center he finished with 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 blocks in 18 minutes. He shot 4 for 7 from the field. He would make his only 3-point attempt of the day, and he shot a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown 24th-ranked Fighting Illini were led in scoring by their starting guard, Trent Frazier, out of Wellington, Florida. He will go on to finish with 16 points and 5 assists in 36 minutes. He went on to shoot 6 for 15 from the field and 2 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the 24th-ranked Illinois Fighting Illini are 14-5. They are now 7-2 in the Big Ten. They are now holding the best record in their conference. And with this loss, the 10th-ranked Michigan State Spartans are now 15-4. They are now 6-2 in the Big Ten. They are one of 4 teams with 2 losses in the Big Ten, including Illinois. Taking a look at what's going on with the 12th-ranked team in the nation, the Kentucky Wildcats hosted the unranked Mississippi State Bulldogs. The 12th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats won this matchup 82-74. They outscored Mississippi State by 13 in the first half just to get outscored by 13 in the second half. Once the game went to overtime, they outscored Mississippi State 10-2 in order to come away with their 16th win of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the 12th-ranked Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting forward, Oscar Tshiebwe. He finished with 21 points, 22 rebounds, and 3 steals in 37 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field. With this win, the 12th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats are now 16-4. They are now 6-2 in the SEC. With this loss, the unranked Mississippi State Bulldogs are now 13-6. They are now 4-3 in the SEC. Taking a look at the 14th-ranked team in the nation, the Villanova Wildcats hosted the unranked DePaul Blue Demons. Villanova won this matchup by 24 after they outscored DePaul by 13 in the first half and by 11 in the second half. They won at 67-43. On the winning end of this matchup, the 14th-ranked Villanova Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting guard, Justin Moore. He finished with 16 points in 35 minutes. He shot 6 for 17 from the field and 4 for 10 from 3. With this win, the 14th-ranked Villanova Wildcats are now 8-2. That is the second-best record in the Big East. With this loss, the unranked DePaul Blue Demons are now 10-9. They are 1-8 in the conference. That is the second-worst record in the Big East. Jumping to the team with the worst record in the Big East, the Georgetown Hoyas would face off against the 20th-ranked UConn Huskies. And going into this matchup, Georgetown did not have a Big East win, and they left this game without a Big East win too. The 20th-ranked UConn Huskies would beat Georgetown 96-73. They won this matchup by 23 after outscoring Georgetown by 12 in the first half and by 11 in the second. On the winning end of this match, outscored by 12 in the first and 11 in the second. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Huskies, who are ranked 20th in the nation, were led in scoring by their starting forward, Adama Sanogo. He finished with 19 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 29 minutes. He shot 8 for 14 from the field, and he shot 3 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the 20th-ranked UConn Huskies are now 14-4. They are 5-2 in the Big East, and with this loss, the unranked Georgetown Hoyas are now 6-11. They are now 0-6 in the Big East, just to get a sense of where they are. Now taking a look at what's going on today with college basketball at 6 o'clock on ESPN2. The 18th ranked Tennessee Volunteers are going to host the unranked Florida Gators in Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville, Tennessee. Tennessee enters this matchup with a 4-3 record in the SEC. At 6:30, the 21st ranked Xavier Musketeers are going to host the 17th ranked Providence Friars. This matchup is going to be on CBS Network in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the Cintas Center. The 21st ranked Xavier Musketeers enter this matchup with a 4-3 record. The 17th ranked Providence Friars enter this matchup with a 6-1 record in the Big East. At 8 o'clock, the 23rd ranked Iowa State Cyclones are going to go to Stillwater, Oklahoma to face off against the unranked Oklahoma State Sooners. Iowa State, although they're ranked the 23rd ranked team in the nation, they are 2-5 in the Big 12 of this season. At 8:30, the 22nd ranked Marquette Golden Eagles are going to go to Newark, New Jersey to face off against the unranked Seton Hall Pirates on FS1. Marquette enters this matchup with a 6-3 record in the Big East. At 8:30, the 25th ranked Davidson Wildcats, or the Davidson Cats are going to host the unranked face unranked VCU on CBS Sports News in Davidson, North Carolina. This matchup is going to be at 8:30. Davidson is 6-0 in A10. And also at 9 o'clock, the 19th ranked LSU Tigers are going to host the unranked Texas A&M Aggies on SEC Network in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center in Baton Rouge. 19th ranked LSU enters this matchup with a 3-4 record in the SEC. Taking a look at what's going on in the NBA, starting off in Detroit, the Pistons hosted the Detroit Nuggets, and the Nuggets would beat the Pistons 110-105. The Nuggets won this game by 5 after outscoring the Pistons by 8 in the second quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Detroit Pistons were led in scoring by their rookie starting point guard, Cade Cunningham, out of Oklahoma State. He finished with 34 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and 4 blocks in 40 minutes. He shot 14 for 26 from the field and 6 for 9 from 3. Their starting small forward, Saddiq Bey, finished with 21 points and 2 steals in 34 minutes. He shot 8 for 17 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Denver Nuggets were led in scoring by their elite starting center and last year's MVP, Nikola Jokic. He finished with 28 points, 21 rebounds, and 9 assists in 34 minutes. He shot 9 for 20 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 7 for 7 from the foul line. Their starting power forward, Jeff Green, would finish with 20 points in 29 minutes as he shot 8 for 12 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the Denver Nuggets are now 25-21. That is the 6th best record in the Western Conference. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They sit 12 games behind the Phoenix Suns, who sit on top of the Western Conference right now. With this loss, the Detroit Pistons are now 11-36. That is the second worst record in the Eastern Conference. They've lost their last 3 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They sit 13 games behind the 8-seed Toronto Raptors out east. Speaking of the Raptors, the Raptors hosted the Charlotte Hornets. The Raptors beat the Hornets by 12. They won this matchup 125-113. They outscored the Hornets by 12 in the first quarter, by 15 in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Charlotte Hornets were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard and last year's Rookie of the Year, LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball will go on to finish with 25 points, 3 rebounds, and 7 assists in 32 minutes. He would go on to shoot 8 for 16 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, and 8 for 9 from the foul line. Also in their starting lineup, their starting small forward, Miles Bridges, would finish with 24 points in 31 minutes. He shot 6 for 10 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and he would shoot 8 for 8 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Toronto Raptors were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard out of Duke, Gary Trent Jr. He finished with 32 points, a couple of rebounds, and a couple of assists in 35 minutes. He shot 11 for 21 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. Their starting power forward, Pascal Siakam, finished with 24 points, 9 rebounds, and 12 assists in 39 minutes. He shot 9 for 16 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and he shot a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. Their starting small forward, OG Anunoby, finished with 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals in 36 minutes. He shot 8 for 14 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the Toronto Raptors are now 23-22. That is the 8th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've won 5 of their last 10 games. They currently sit 6 games behind the first seed Miami Heat out east. On the losing end of this matchup, the Charlotte Hornets are now 26-22. That is the 7th best record in the East. They've lost their last 2 games and they've lost 3 of their last 10. They currently sit 4.5 games behind the top seed Miami Heat out east. Taking a look at what went down in our nation's capital, the Washington Wizards hosted the LA Clippers. The Clippers would beat the Wizards 116-115 after being down by 35 at a point in this game. The Wizards were outscoring the LA Clippers by 30 going into the half, and then the Clippers would outscore the Wizards by 13 in the third quarter and by 18 in the fourth quarter to outscore the Wizards by 31 in the second half in order to win this matchup by 1. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Washington Wizards were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard Bradley Beal out of Florida. He finished with 23 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 turnovers in 40 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line. Their starting small forward Kyle Kuzma finished with 19 points and 12 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 6 for 14 from the field and 6 for 8 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the LA Clippers were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Amir Coffey. He finished with 29 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals in 37 minutes. He shot 10 for 21 from the field and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. Their shooting guard off the bench out of Duke, Luke Kennard, finished with 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists in 35 minutes. He shot 8 for 13 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the LA Clippers are now 24-25. That is the 9th best record in the Western Conference. They've won 5 of their last 10. They sit half a game behind the 8th seed LA Lakers out west, who play within their building. With this loss, the Washington Wizards are now 23-25. That is the 10th best record in the East. They've lost their last 4 games. That is the longest losing streak in the East and the second longest losing streak in the NBA, tied with the Kings, sitting behind the OKC Thunder. The Wizards have lost 6 of their last 10 games. They sit a game and a half behind the 8th seed Toronto Raptors out east. Jumping out to Philadelphia, the 76ers hosted the New Orleans Pelicans in a makeup game from December. The Sixers would beat the Pelicans 117-107. They won this matchup by 10 after outscoring the Pelicans by 8 in the third quarter to tie the game up in the third. And then they would outscore the Pelicans by 10 in the fourth quarter to outscore the Pelicans by 8 in the entire second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the New Orleans Pelicans were led in scoring by their starting center, their starting shooting guard, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He finished with 31 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists in 37 minutes. Alexander-Walker shot 11 for 22 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and 4 for 7 from the foul line. Their starting center, Willy Hernan Gomez, finished with 29 points and 10 rebounds in 30 minutes. He shot 11 for 15 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown 76ers were led in scoring by their elite starting center, Joel Embiid. Embiid finished with 42 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks in 33 minutes. He shot 12 for 24 from the field and 18 for 20 from the foul line. Their starting power forward, Tobias Harris, finished with 33 points and 11 rebounds, as well as 2 blocks in 39 minutes. He shot 13 for 19 from the field, a perfect 3 for 3 from 3, and he shot a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Philadelphia 76ers were they are now 28-19. That is the 6th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. Holding the 6th spot in the East, they sit only 2 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat. With this loss, the New Orleans Pelicans are now 18-29. That is the 5th worst record in the Western Conference. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. They sit 5.5 games behind the 8 seed LA Lakers out west. Jumping out to Boston, the Celtics hosted the Sacramento Kings. The Celtics would beat the Kings 128-75. They won this matchup by 53 after outscoring the Kings by 25 in the first quarter and by 8 in the second, so they outscored them by 33 in the first half. The Celtics outscored the Kings by 9 in the third quarter and by 11 in the fourth, outscoring them by 20 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Sacramento Kings were led in scoring by their shooting guard off the bench, Buddy Hield out of Oklahoma. He finished with 11 points and 5 rebounds in 24 minutes. He shot 4 for 14 from the field. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Boston Celtics were led in scoring by their elite starting small forward out of Duke, Jason Tatum. Tatum finished with 36 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists in 31 minutes. He shot 14 for 23 from the field, 7 for 14 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard, Jaylen Brown, finished with 30 points and 10 rebounds in 24 minutes. He shot 11 for 19 from the field, 5 for 12 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Their starting center, Robert Williams III, finished with 13 points, 17 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks in 27 minutes. He shot 6 for 8 from the field, and he made his only free throw attempt on the night. With this win, the Boston Celtics are now 25-24. That is the 9th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They've won 2 more games than the Raptors, and they've lost 2 more games than the Raptors, so they sit just about even with them in the playoff picture, even though their win percentage is slightly below the Raptors. On the losing end of this matchup, the Sacramento Kings are now 18-31. That is the 3rd worst record in the Western Conference. They've lost their last 4 games, tied for the 2nd longest losing streak in the NBA. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games, and they currently sit 6.5 games behind the 8 seed LA Lakers out west. Taking a look at what's going on in Brooklyn, the Nets hosted the 8th seed Los Angeles Lakers out west. The Lakers would beat the Nets 106-96. They won this matchup by 10 after outscoring the Brooklyn Nets by 8 in the first quarter and by 5 in the third. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Nets were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard and former NBA MVP James Harden. Harden finished with 33 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, 2 steals, and 6 turnovers in 38 minutes. He shot 11 for 24 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and a perfect 9 for 9 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the LA Lakers were led in scoring by their goated starting small forward and former multiple-time MVP LeBron James. LeBron James finished with 33 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks in 34 minutes. He shot 14 for 21 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Their shooting guard off the bench, Malik Monk, finished with 22 points and 5 rebounds in 28 minutes. He shot 7 for 13 from the field, 6 for 12 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. The Lakers' goated starting point guard and former NBA MVP, Russell Westbrook, finished with 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists, as well as 5 turnovers in 33 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field, and he made his only free throw attempt of the night. With this win, the LA Lakers are 24-24. That is the 8th best record in the Western Conference. They've won 5 of their last 10 games, and they currently sit 14 games behind the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns. With this loss, the Brooklyn Nets are now 29-18. That is the 3rd best record in the East, win percentage-wise. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 5 of their last 10. They sit a full game behind the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat. Taking a look at what went down in Houston, the Rockets hosted their in-state rival, the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs would beat the Rockets 134-104. They won this matchup by 30 after outscoring the Rockets by 15 in the first half and by 16 in the third quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Houston Rockets were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Kevin Porter Jr. He finished with 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 9 assists in 26 minutes. He shot 5 for 12 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the San Antonio Spurs were led in scoring by their starting point guard, DeJounte Murray. He finished with 19 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists, and 3 steals in 24 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the San Antonio Spurs are 18-30. That is the 4th worst record in the Western Conference. They've won 3 of their last 10 games. They sit 6 games behind the 8 seed LA Lakers out west. With this loss, the Houston Rockets are 14-34. That is the worst record in the Western Conference and the 3rd worst record in the NBA. They've lost their last 2 games and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They sit 10 games behind the 8 seed LA Lakers out west. Taking a look at what went down in San Francisco, the Golden State Warriors hosted the Dallas Mavericks. The Warriors would beat the Mavericks 130-92. They won this matchup by 38 after outscoring the Mavericks by 26 points in the second half. And, of course, 12 points in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Dallas Mavericks were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard out of Slovenia, Luka Doncic. He finished with 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists in 27 minutes. He shot 7 for 17 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and he shot a perfect 7 for 7 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Golden State Warriors were led in scoring by their power forward off the bench, their rookie Jonathan Kuminga. He finished with 22 points and 5 rebounds in 18 minutes. He shot 8 for 9 from the field, a perfect 4 for 4 from 3, and he made both of his free throws on the night. Their goated starting point guard, Stephen Curry, finished with 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists in 29 minutes. He shot 7 for 16 from the field, 2 for 10 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. Their elite starting shooting guard, Klay Thompson, finished with 15 points, 2 rebounds, and 6 assists in 26 minutes. He shot 6 for 12 from the field as he shot 3 for 5 from 3. Their power forward off the bench, Nemanja Bjelica, would finish with 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 steals in 18 minutes. Bjelica shot 3 for 6 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the Golden State Warriors are now 35-13. That is the 2nd best record in the Western Conference. They've won their last 3 games and they've won 6 of their last 10. They sit 3 games behind the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns out west. And with this loss, the Dallas Mavericks are now 27-21. That is the 5th best record in the West. They've lost 3 of their last 10 games. They sit 11 games behind the West leading Phoenix Suns. Last but not least, jumping out to Portland, Oregon, the Trailblazers hosted the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves would beat the Trailblazers 109-107. They won this matchup by 2 after outscoring the Trailblazers by 10 points in the 3rd quarter. That was the only quarter they outscored the Blazers. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Trailblazers were led in scoring by their starting small forward, Nasir Little, and their starting center, Jusuf Nurkic. Little finished with 20 points and 8 rebounds in 29 minutes. He would go on to shoot 7 for 11 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. Jusuf Nurkic finished with 20 points and 14 rebounds in 32 minutes. He shot 8 for 18 from the field and 4 for 6 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Minnesota Timberwolves were led in scoring by their elite starting small forward, Anthony Edwards, out of Georgia. He finished with 40 points, 9 rebounds, 3 steals, and 3 blocks in 39 minutes. He shot 14 for 27 from the field, 5 for 13 from 3, and 7 for 11 from the foul line. Their starting point guard, D'Angelo Russell, finished with 22 points in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 16 from the field, 3 for 9 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line. Their elite starting center, Karl Anthony Towns, out of Kentucky, would finish with 17 points, 17 rebounds, 2 assists, and 4 blocks in 37 minutes. He shot 4 for 7 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the Minnesota Timberwolves are now 24-23. That is the 7th best record in the West. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They sit 13.5 games behind the 1st seed Phoenix Suns out west. With this loss, the Portland Trailblazers are now 20-27. That is the 10th best record in the West. They've lost 4 of their last 10 games. They sit 3.5 games behind the 8th seed LA Lakers out west. That is what the NBA is looking like following yesterday's matchups. And taking a look at what's going on with today's primetime matchups, but that are going on today. And because it's Wednesday, the games are going to be on ESPN. At 7:30, the Miami Heat, who currently hold the best record in the Eastern Conference, they're one of two teams in the Eastern Conference with 30 wins. They are going to host the New York Knicks, who hold the fifth worst record in the East, along with the 10th best record in the East, as they are tied with the Washington Wizards. That game's going to be on ESPN. And then the next game right after that is going to feature the Utah Jazz, who hold the fourth best record in the West. They host the Phoenix Suns, who hold the best record in the NBA. At 37-9, they are the only team in the NBA with a single-digit amount of wins, as the Jazz look to change that. Looking at the games that aren't on prime time at 7 o'clock, the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to host the defending champs Milwaukee Bucks in the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. At the same time, at 7, the Indiana Pacers are going to host the Charlotte Hornets at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indy. At 7 at the same time, the Orlando Magic are going to host the LA Clippers at the Amway Center in Orlando. As the Magic are the lone team in the NBA with a single-digit amount of wins, they look to change that. At 7:30, the Atlanta Hawks are going to host the Sacramento Kings, as the Hawks are on a 4-game winning streak. At 8 o'clock, the Brooklyn Nets are going to host the Denver Nuggets, as the Nets are holding on to the third best record in the East. At 8 o'clock, the Chicago Bulls are going to host the Toronto Raptors. And at 8:30, the San Antonio Spurs are going to host the Memphis Grizzlies. Last but not least, the Portland Trail Blazers are going to host the Dallas Mavericks from the Moda Center. Last but not least, showing you what's going on with soccer. Going into yesterday's matchup, there were 12 teams left in the African Cup of Nations. In the first matchup, Senegal would go on to beat Cape Verde Islands 2-0. After Cape Verde Islands would draw their first red card in the first half, they would draw a second one in the second half, and right after they drew their two red cards, Senegal would score its first goal in the 63rd minute from its elite forward, Sadio Mane, before he would get pulled for a possible concussion. Their second goal came in the 92nd minute from Amadou Bamba Dieng. This would be a big win for Senegal, who would come into this round having finished at the very top of Group B. After Cape Verde Islands made it into this round, finishing third in Group A, this will be the game in which they were eliminated. Following this matchup, there were 11, and then going into their second matchup, Morocco would face off against Malawi. Morocco entered this matchup finishing at the top of Group C. Malawi entered this matchup finishing third in Group B. Malawi would score the first goal of this matchup, and Frank Mahango would put them up 7-0. Morocco would tie the game up going into halftime with a 47th minute goal from Youssef En-Nesyri. And then they would get a goal in the 70th minute from their elite defender, Achraf Hakimi, to put them up 2-1 and get them through to the quarterfinal round. And then, of course, with this matchup, they are looking at the two matchups that are still left to be played in the African Cup of Nations. Ivory Coast is going to face off against Egypt. Ivory Coast made it to this round after they finished at the top of Group E. Egypt would finish second in Group D, so that's how they would make it here. The second matchup is going to feature Mali, who finished at the top of Group F, and Equatorial Guinea, who finished second in Group E, just 1 point in their table below Ivory Coast. That is all that I have for you today. And with that said, I want to thank the ESPN, NCAA, NFL, NBA, and FIFA websites for giving me all the facts and figures that I need, because without them, I wouldn't be able to do this. And with that said, I want to thank everyone for listening to all 33 minutes of this piece. I really do hope all is well. And once all of today's matchups and exhibitions are done, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Thursday, January 27th. So thanks once again for sticking with me as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. And if I butchered your name, I do apologize. I do plan on eventually getting them right. Once again, thanks for listening to my piece. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with another piece tomorrow. Peace out.